Do you know that just by shaking up your regular routines, you can actually increase your joie de vivre? Most of us think that the key to greater happiness is to make big changes in our lives. Surprisingly, research shows that increased happiness most often comes from making tiny changes to our daily or weekly routines. Doing so can provide, I'm telling you, a powerful lift to your mood as you look at life in new ways, and that most likely will start to shift your outlook. Make several little routine changes, and you're guaranteed to make yourself happier. And today we're going to explore just a few simple changes that you might want to incorporate into your routines. Welcome, everyone, to the Extraordinary Women podcast show. I'm Sharri Harmel, your host of the show, where women age 50 plus talk about ways we can design a fabulous next chapter life. We dive into all those issues and roadblocks that can get in your way and keep you from not only designing that next chapter that you want, but enjoying it. Now, because I've lived part-time in Paris over the last many years, I've done several videos on Paris. Hopefully, I've provided you some inspiration for your next chapter. But not everyone can or even wants to spend time in Paris. What if you could get that same inspiration from your own town or your own city, that place where you live? That place that you don't have to get on an airplane to go see. You don't have to incur, hotel expenses or Airbnb expenses. You don't need to travel. They're probably a car ride, a walk, or a subway ride away from you. Joy and inspiration comes from new experiences, new ways of looking at things. Looking at our lives around us with what is called a beginner's mind, I have also heard it called a child's mind, is where we get inspiration from things that we might walk past multiple times. We can do that in the town or the city that we live in. But how do we do that? Well, it can be something as simple as going a different way to a place that is part of your daily routine. Rather than the freeway that, you get on every morning to get to work, what if you took a side street and you explored, new neighborhoods, new shops along the way? Same if you walk. How many of us travel to our daily coffee shops and we've got our routines or our workplaces absolutely the same way every single day, and once you get there, you hardly remember anything you saw along the way. You don't remember the stops, you don't remember the turns, and all of a sudden there you are. You were on autopilot, right? You're so used to your life that you stop noticing the wonderful things that are around you. Now, besides logistics, what if you can, go and try something new? I mentioned coffee shops. As an example, I've been a Starbucks fan, since Starbucks' birth. I should have bought stock then. They make the best espresso, in my opinion. But since I've discovered matcha tea lattes, I found the Blank coffee shop, believe it, that's what it's called, in Beacon Hill, and they make the best matcha iced tea lattes. And sitting in that coffee shop, I see a totally different crowd. The chairs are different. Sounds bizarre, but the view as I'm sitting in the chair and I'm looking out the window is entirely different because it's a different neighborhood, and it's a lovely walk to get there. Simple changes to a routine actually change up my perspective, and it will yours too. One person gave me this absolutely fantastic idea, and that was to have the micro goal of taking a photo of something on their way to work each day. And some days they said it was a flower, was a bird. Another said, this person said another time it was an interesting person or an unusual person that was sitting on a bench. This is someone who walks to work. And so it caused them to slow down. And what they realized is taking that one photo a day That was their goal. That was their micro goal, if you want to call it that. Took them out of autopilot. And suddenly they found that as they were walking to work, they were looking for things to photograph and suddenly noticed all sorts of things around them. I love that idea, and I'm going to incorporate that in my life. But how about exploring the town or the city that you live in? I often hear people share with me that they've never visited some of the top tourist stops in their towns, never gone there. I live part of the year in Boston, Massachusetts, and I have to say that's certainly true for me. And there are so many tourist sites here in Boston. So I decided that each week I'm going to go somewhere that I haven't been or I haven't gone recently. It's been a long time since I went to that particular location because I'm really trying to see what brings more joie de vivre in my life. I began with the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston. So I want you to come with me as we explore a truly amazing and unusual museum that is designed and created by the incredible Isabella Stewart Gardner. We have arrived at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. I love this. To attempt to tell the story of the wonderfully gathered and splendidly lodged Gardner collection would be to displace a little the line that separates private from public property. Don't you love that? And you can see a little bit the majesty of this building. I'll tell you more about Isabella and Jack Gardner's love of Italy. Today we're going to go see the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. I think you can see that on the side here. I hope you all enjoy it. It's really about exploring something that is in my neighborhood that I haven't really thought of doing before. This is a very interesting area. I used to work when I worked at Northeastern University. It's very close to this particular area, and I didn't come over here much. I should have. It's really quite special, and now that it's summer, you can see the start of the fen behind me, which is the green necklace, which was designed by Olmsted, and it goes all the way from the Boston Common, which is in the original part of Boston, all the way here, which is quite a distance in the late 1800s. And Isabella, I should say, and her husband Jack really envisioned this particular area to be a museum place, a museum center. This was all, I don't know, this might have all been fill now when I think about it, not really solid land back in the day. But we'll go see some more. Just a second. I apologize for the lawnmower, but you can see the museum here. It's the old home that was built by, I think it's William Sears, who was a Boston architect way back in the late 1800s. Here's the addition, which you will see. And the gardens are through here, which are absolutely spectacular. Very fun. Oh, thank you. Yes, turn that off. We are in what is the fen, or fens? I don't know if it's one word, singular or plural, but it's part of the green necklace that was designed by the famous garden designer Frederick Olmsted. And it's really an interesting area. Northeastern University isn't very far here, and right over here you've got the Massachusetts College of Art and Design. We are walking through the atrium into what is called the palace. Gotta love that. So this is the original house that Isabel Stewart Gardner and her husband built to house their incredible museum collection. Now you're going to see all kinds of columns and friezes, and I'm going to say all the words wrong. Please tolerate me. Isabella and her husband Jack went to Italy, all over Italy, to bring things back. We are walking into the courtyard. So many styles and periods of architecture in here. You've got Roman, you've got Romanesque, you've got Byzantine, you've got Gothic, you've got Renaissance. You'd think it would be a crazy, crazy mess, but it's actually all cohesive. And you could see there's beautiful skylight above, which provides the light needed for all the plants. It's just gorgeous. Give you a little different view up that direction. Isabella actually lived on the 4th floor. The 4th floor was not part of the museum. It was where her home was. And once this building was completed, which I mentioned was the architect was William Sears, Isabella moved in and actually worked on coordinating the art exhibit. This gives you an idea of some of the windows and structures, columns and whatnot that Isabella and Jack brought back from Italy. There's a frieze here at the end. And you might say, you know, when did Isabella and Jack become such incredible collectors? Well, they had a child who died when he was, I think, just 2 years old of pneumonia. And Jack took her on a tour of Europe, visited art museums to try to get her out of her grief. And obviously, this is a woman who takes an idea and goes with it. Now, they had a home on Beacon Street. I think it was 152 Beacon Street before this idea happened. And they were thinking, because they were already collecting art, and they were thinking of buying the house next door, which they chose not to, and instead had the idea of building a museum and actually living at the top of the museum. You will see columns, you will see balustrades, you will see windows and doorstops, doorways, I should say. And check this out. It is a beautiful relief. Now, this was an idea that Isabella had with her husband Jack, and unfortunately Jack died suddenly when this was not completed. And Isabella took her widowhood and said, I'm going to create something fantastic. And this truly was her passion. This was her next chapter. Really quite an inspiring woman, I have to say. She had the means, obviously, very, very wealthy families. Both her family, the Stewart family, she originally was born in New York, as well as the Gardner family here in Boston. But she did something with it, and she created, as I said in the very beginning, that line between public and private. She created something for all of us to enjoy today. It's pretty amazing. There she is. I don't know who painted that, but it's beautiful. Isabella was not a gorgeous woman, which doesn't matter in the least, because the woman had style. She was extraordinary. No, excuse me. We are in the blue, which at one time was the ladies' gallery. encourages women to look at some of the, because it truly was a ladies' room, it encourages her guests to look at some of her art objects from a close-up. In the gallery are Rembrandt's, Degas, Vermeer. It's really quite astounding. What a fun life project. That's beyond a hobby, right? It's just one beautiful painting after another. Look at how whimsical that looks. Oh, it's really interesting. The furnishings are also Isabella's. Isabella set this up when she passed away, that there would be an endowment so that people like me and you could come visit at any time. Made this a public museum. Okay, this is the garden. All kinds of places to sit. Contemplate life, right? Contemplate your next chapter. I know that's what I'm trying to figure out. Oh, look at that tree. I'm a tree lover, if you didn't know that. This is like a labyrinth, but with stones. It's really quite fascinating. You could be in Europe, right? This is what I mean by exploring places in your own city. So different. How many times have I seen advertisements for the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and I don't go there? They have concerts here. Can you imagine how fabulous that would be? I'm now up on the second floor and you can see the Italian tile floor. I don't know, this might have been used as a dining room. It's quite spectacular, but you will see a picture frame with no picture, and that is because in 1990, March of 1990, was one of the largest, most mysterious art heists ever. 13 works were stolen and none recovered. No one has ever come forward, which is pretty amazing. Talked about quite often still. And can you imagine having dinner here and you're overlooking the courtyard? Before I move into the next room, I wanted to show you the ceiling, which is incredible. You have to remember, they brought all of this back as Jack and Isabella traveled through Italy. We are now up in the third floor. Now you and I go to Provence and come out with a plate or two, a tea service maybe. This is what the wealth of that particular time period was, the late 1800s. Here is a famous Jean Singer Sargent painting of Isabella. You've all seen it. It's gorgeous. The camera really can't, or the video can't really do it justice. It's showing up as much more yellow than it is in real life. Her skin is very, oh my, very beautiful and light-filled. In real life, yes. And we're back. I don't know if humans carry you when you're in that or horses. I'm going to show you the ceiling though because it's spectacular.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, I just can't tell if those are pieces of painted leather or if they are tiles, wood. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And now, I'm going to call it the Red Room. She's beautiful. You can hear the water. This is aptly named the chapel. It's up on the 3rd floor. Museum cafes are one of my favorite places to go. Thank you. As you can see, there's some outdoor seating, but today is warm, so I wanted to be inside. Now, I have to share with you, I have something called pea flower tea. I have never heard of it. It's a bit of green tea, she described it as, with something else, I can't remember, some herbal aspects to it, so we'll find out. Flower tea is a hit, but look at it, it's purple. That is just wild. Okay, working on my podcast, but here I have, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it was. Some kind of quiche. It was really interesting though. And there's a salad, and I don't know if you can see, but there are black olives on that salad. How perfect. This is Jack. Oh, and I said the name of the painter incorrectly. It's not a Sargent. It's Andre Zorn, I believe. Chasing Beauty. Collecting Beauty, it should have said. And this is a book all about these 13 stolen artworks. Interesting. It would be interesting. These are a great way to decorate. You find a painting that you love. I might do that. Pretty cool. Secret language of flowers. I love that. Chrysanthemum means something different. It's native to Korea, but it means something entirely different in France than it does in the United States. Very interesting. Now you can see why you can hang out in a museum gift shop forever. Every kind of tea, syrup, flower syrups. I wonder if they have that pea something that I just drank. Pea something. I don't know what the name. Oh God, look at birds. I don't know if you all know, but anything with birds on it, I love.
hope you all enjoyed the tour to the Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum. She's an inspirational lady, so you might say, Sharri, why did you take me here? Number one, it got me out of my routine. I'm exploring the city where I live. And also, Isabella is truly inspirational. She lost a child and went to Europe and jumped into art and the whole idea of creating art, or collecting art, I should say. And after her husband passed away, she had the idea for the museum. I'll turn around so that it's behind me. She had the idea for the museum, but she didn't have her husband anymore. But she didn't stop. She did not give up the dream. So, pretty special lady. This is, I believe, the end of the emerald necklace, which was created by Frederick Olmsted. It starts at the Commons, Boston Common. I call it the Commons. I've been corrected. It's the Boston Common. And I've taken you through the public garden, which is sort of at the start of all of this, and then this whole area, and there's walking paths and biking paths that goes quite a ways. This is a distance, so not super far, but certainly 15 minutes by subway, give you an idea of where we are. I will take you now, and I'm walking through all kinds of goose poo. I'm going to show you how John Gardner really saw this as a museum center, if you want to call it that, because he was on the board of the MFA, which is the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And then he and Isabella created this, and eventually the Museum of Fine Arts, which we will walk past, is up ahead. This is actually the school of the Museum of Fine Arts, all on the same pathway. And you will see in just a second the Fen, who's right over here, all kinds of running along the water. It's very fun, very beautiful. We're blessed. 5-minute walk from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is the Museum of Fine Arts, or as we call it here in Boston, the MFA. I'll take you there one of these days. I just wanted to walk over and see it before I hop on the T.
That was incredible. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It took me totally out of my comfort zone. I don't know Italian art or Italian architecture. I've actually never been to Italy. And it was just inspiring to me to think that somebody had created this with this vision in mind. One person, one woman. So you can see that you don't need to leave your life in the town or city that you live in and go someplace for an extended period of time to capture joie de vivre. You can do it right in your own town. I had my tea and my lunch in the Isabel Stewart Gardner Museum Cafe, which is always a fun thing to do. I showed you a little bit about or a little bit of the gift shop, which was incredible. So what I'm doing because of that experience is I'm building my Boston bucket list. Bucket list can be about all sorts of things. They don't have to be, jumping out of airplanes someplace or going to a cruise to the Antarctica. You can have mini bucket lists, and I'm going to create one about Boston, and I highly recommend that you create one about the town that you live in. Maybe it's restaurants you've never tried, it's because it's so easy to go to the same place all the time. Maybe there's volunteer organizations that you want to explore, and you want to tie in maybe something that you really enjoy and love doing, like cooking. You're going to explore lunch places or meal prep places. Are there biking or walking trails that you've never tried? So many cities in America, at least, and I don't know if this is true in other parts of the world where they took the old train tracks and actually turned them into walking paths or biking paths. So that's something to explore. England has some of the best walks I have ever been on in my entire life. So obviously, you have to get the map out, get the shoes on, and off you go. Noticing what's available in your city and putting what interests you on your bucket list, I'm telling you, will open you up to more joy. And more joy creates a whole different outlook on what your next chapter could possibly be all about. You can also enroll other people in on this. I'm headed to Minneapolis very soon to spend some time with my kids and grandkids. And I've got to walk around one of the lakes planned with the little grandkids, and then obviously a little stop at the ice cream shop just to see what that's all about. New experiences don't have to be just for children, they can be for us. But in this case, I'm kind of merging the two, which is great fun. You can see, though, that bringing more joy into your life is super easy, and that you can start by creating a bucket list of things to do in your own town or your own city that you want to do and explore. Now, once you get through that bucket list, come up with one in the closest town or the city next to you. Sometimes planning a bucket list, honestly, it's like planning a trip, right? Can be as much fun as actually having the experience. So make those bucket lists. One thing I do want to share is that by doing so, by getting yourself out, what you're doing is you're actually shifting how you think about life, how you think about your next chapter, how you imagine, it can be. And, that is truly what I want for all of you in the next chapter. As you plan out your next chapter, is imagine something bigger, something fuller, something happier than what you maybe have thought up to this point. And I want to encourage all of you to sign up for my VIP waitlist for my book that will be coming out sometime, I would guess, towards the end of 2024. There's no reason not to sign up. It's totally free, and you will actually get a few little fun helps along the way before the book comes out if you sign up. The book, for your information, is called Designing Your Fabulous Next Chapter, and it's really a combination of memoir, workbook, lessons, all about how you can create what it is that you want to create in your next chapter, because your next chapter is just as important as any other chapter in your life. So we have to give it the same amount of attention that we gave every, preceding chapter in our lives. It deserves that kind of attention. Be flexible. Imagine new ways to create what it is that you want to create in this next chapter. Ask for help, and never say, I'll get back to my dreams and plans when life settles down, because it doesn't. It really doesn't. And suddenly a decade passes. So I hope you all enjoyed today's video. And if so, give me a thumbs up. You know the routine on YouTube, and do subscribe. Plus, comment, because I love reading your comments, and I try to respond to as many of them as I possibly can because I so love getting them. Take care, everyone. A biento.